Hello again. Another video, another tutorial, another little talking about. I already had mentioned one about how mods actually kind of play into the game with the point system from ranking up. So I kind of wanted to go more into the mods themselves now. Mods are kind of like these little collectible cards that you get. They have cool little pictures. Some of them are actually a little animated and they'll move back and forth when you hover over them. It's kind of a neat way of adding extra to the game. You're not just unlocking skills or getting these passive stat buffs that just happen over time. You're actually earning these by killing dudes or playing in events as they pop up or answering alerts. You're getting these from pretty much almost every aspect of the game. You can sell them, you can trade them, you can buy them. They're all over the place and there's many ways to get them. Some of them are hidden in special rooms that you have to make an item in order to get into. They're everywhere. Now there's a bunch of different varieties of types, and they're mostly breaking out by what they go into. The main things, of course, being your Warframe mods, and all these are accessible right here if you want to sort them. Primary weapons, secondary weapons, melee weapons, and then your various other things like your companion ones, your archwing mods, stances, within actual weaponry such as primary weapons. You'll have some mods that can only be used in something like a shotgun, as is accelerated blast. You'll see right in the bottom right it says shotgun, and what that's doing is it's indicating what type of a mod it is. It's a shotgun mod. You can only put it into a shotgun weapon. In the upper left is how many of them I have. In the case of ammo drum here, I have 4. Now I know what you're thinking right now. You're going, but dude, you have 4 ammo drums right there on the screen. How do you have 4 of that one, 356 of this one? If you look, and it's a little tricky, I know, but if you look at this guy, for example, you'll notice that he's got a 5 in his upper right, which is both the cost and the polarity of the mod. Polarities I explained a little bit in the other video, so if you want to learn more about that, you can go into that. But basically it comes into play with you slotting them into your equipment slots within the mod area for frames, for weapons, for all that stuff. So you'll notice this one cost 5, this one cost 4. What it does when you're in this little mod section of your ship is it'll actually break them out. So in the case of this one's been upgraded about 3 ranks. You'll see the little bubbles at the very bottom of the mod cards. Grayed out means it's not upgraded to that point, but it tells you, the maximum rank you can get it to. In the case of ammo drum here, I could get it up to rank 5, or possibly 6 if you consider the initial rank 0 rank. And this one has been upgraded to the point where it's 3. This one here has only been upgraded to the point where it's 2. These ones are both not ranked up. It's a little bit hard to tell, and it might be harder because it's a recording and I'm going to put it on YouTube, so Lord knows how that's going to work. But you can kind of see little cracks in this one. Going up over there, going over there, going over there. And then down here you also notice that it says damaged. Damaged mods are kind of the starter tutorial equivalent to normal mods. They're just there to kind of teach you how things work a little bit when they introduce the new player experience, so that they could give you these mods, but they wouldn't be ungodly good as some of the actual mods themselves. Like in the case of Serration, where it's just a default damage bonus across the entire weapon. They didn't want you to be able to have one for free and then just rank it up to, however high it goes. So they gave you these more limited in capacity mods so that they're not as strong, but that way you're not just floating around in the environment with nothing to really help you out in balancing the field against your opponents. So this one, being a damage mod, 2.5 default, whereas its normal version, 5% default. And then of course, the difference of only being upgraded to rank 3, being able to upgrade to rank 5. So you know that you have how many combined numbers you have, in the case of it saying 4 in the upper left corner. You'll notice that it tells you the cost and polarity in the upper right corner. The bottom left, there's a little tiny symbol which, if you were to look at it real close, kind of looks like a pair of crossed swords with a number next to it. This is called a conclave rating, and the only time it normally factors into play is if you were to do the PvP segment of the game called Conclave. I don't do it because I'm not a very competitive person, and I would rather just slaughter a bunch of mindless AI guys and have fun, because that's how I have fun. Every now and then, though, there is a mode, an event, if you will, that comes up as an alert called a tactical alert. And what they'll do there is they have fun by limiting you as to what your conclave rating can be. And your conclave rating is affected not only by your mods, which each has its own individual cost, some more than others, like this one's 10, this one's only 3, but also the weapons themselves, the frames themselves, everything's factored in the conclave to kind of make it, if they want you to only have 400, then it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be challenging, so they're limiting all the stuff that you can use to make yourself overly powerful. You'll notice 3 different colors: gold, bronze, silver. Exactly what you think. It's rarity. Bronze ones you can find all the time. That's why I have 356 ammo drums. Silver ones you can find a decent amount of time. You'll see I got like 6 of these and 10 of these. And then the golds are the rare ones that don't drop as often as everything else. You'll still get them, and you'll be excited when you get them most of the time until you've played a really long time and you keep getting the same one that you didn't care for over and over. But for the most part, they're nice mods. You like getting them. Some of them will have double effects, like this guy here, increases the fire rate and the puncture damage of a shotgun. Whereas some of them will be like this guy, where it just converts ammo that you pick up that isn't for that weapon type into that weapon type. So for those guns like the machine guns and the heavy rifles that just burn through their ammo stores, having something like a rifle mutation is great because it turns all ammo you pick up into rifle ammo, which keeps you firing a little bit longer, although you still will probably outpace it. There's all sorts of different mods that do all sorts of different things. As said, each goes to a specific spot. For instance, Warframe mods can only be equipped to the Warframe. These will do various utility things like affect your stats, such as your shields or your health, add auxiliary features like now enemies appear on the radar, or all kinds of little things that can help with very specific things in the game, such as diamond skin, which only reduces radiation damage. But if you're a kind of player that finds yourself fighting a lot of corpus who use lasers and radiation damage, then you might end up liking that more than somebody else. Or antitoxin, which reduces the amount of toxin damage. If you're constantly getting poisoned, you might love that. And then there's different ones for falling down and stuff like that. They're all across the board. They're all over the place. They offer various utilities. Same things with the weapons. Weapons are primarily about doing damage or different types of damage, but they also have some utility stuff in here, such as the ammo drum increasing ammo size. Some of them seem a little bit more gimmicky, such as just making your rounds fly faster. But depending on the gun, when you have a gun that shoots and you can see these bullets just slowly making their way to the enemy, sometimes all that speed makes a huge difference, and you might want to do that. There's a lot of variety in the mods, although a lot of people won't necessarily alter themselves from very specific builds because it's what's perceived to be the most efficient, which, especially if you're playing at the higher levels, it really does kind of start narrowing things down a little bit. If you're like me and you just stick with playing the easier stuff because you're just there to have some fun, you don't really care about the super deep levels of challenge, then you can pretty much put whatever the heck you want on you and still have a good chance of being useful. So let's go into another aspect of these things, because you pick up all these things called fusion cores, and you hover over when it says consumed in the fusion process to power up existing mods. You can't equip them on anything. It's just a mod. It has no actual thing that it slots into. These guys are just fodder for you leveling up your other stuff, just like it says. So let's go and we'll just find ourselves a nice little mod somewhere. We'll go back to the Warframe mods because there is a couple of these that I could do with leveling up. So let's go in here. And we have all these different mods. Let's take a stretch mod, for example. If we click on this, it'll ask us how many we want to select. In this case, we're going to do one, because all I'm going to do is demonstrate fusion, which is how you level up your mods. After clicking on it, you will notice this highlights, in case you want to sell it for some, in-game credits. And this one doesn't, because it requires something else in order to do. We're going to click on Fusion. You'll see it's popped up here. This is so that you know what you're trying to level up. Now, if we take more of our stretches and we put them in there, you're going to see 18 available. And what that means is either I only have 18 in a stack, which is true, or that's how many I can put into this mod before it maxes out. If you use the same mod, duplicates of that mod, to charge up a mod, then it's going to be a little cheaper because there is a cost associated with this. It might not be the most efficient way of doing it, but it will end up being a little cheaper per mod than other ways. Now, that being said, you should also remember that you have all these fusion cores you've been picking up. Seeing where I'm going with this? So we have different levels of rarity, we have different bubbles rank-wise on the bottom of the mods. As you can guess, the most rare, most highly ranked core will actually end up netting you the most experience towards leveling up this mod. So in the case of this stack right here, where I have 68 of these, if I click on this, you'll see it says 14 available. I have 68 of the cores, so obviously in this case, 14 available means that's all I can put into that mod for it to be maxed out. So in this case, if I wanted to do that, I can click select all. You'll see it updates over here. It updates up here to tell you what the difference is. The new conclave rating, which I told you about for player versus player and some events, is now 10, so it goes up double. The actual power range bonus of this mod goes from just 7.5% to up to 45% total gain. And then of course its cost, its drain against our available pool of points, goes from 4 to 9. And then it is a maxed mod, rank 5. And you'll see all the bubbles down there filled up. If we pop this up, it'll relay all the same information that it did there. But you'll notice that it also costs, to do this fusion, 29,400 in-game credits. It's not the cheapest thing, and eventually you'll be swimming in money and you won't care that much. You'll upgrade all your mods willy-nilly style. But it can be something where you can't afford all of it at once. So let's say you put all those in there and then you go, I don't have the cash for this. I can't do this. You can come back down here, click on this, it automatically removes all of them. Let's say I just want to try to get one level, so I'm going to put one mod in there. Alright, well that's about halfway. I still need more in order to get that extra level. Click on that again, come back, we'll try putting 2 into it. We'll see that it is now ranked up. Stats slightly different. Just a little bit of a gain as opposed to the entire game, but it also only costs 1,200 instead of the original, 5 digits. So you can level these things up as you go. If you find yourself using specific mod, you only really want that one mod, but you don't have the points because your frame hasn't ranked up in a while and you're already hurting on points. So you can upgrade your mod only one level so that you're not exceeding the amount of points you have in your frame. Because if it exceeds it, you can't use it. And that's how you make your mod stronger. Next up, we're going to go into transmuting. Now, this is something that I don't really use too much. Some people use it all the time. Some people have great luck with it. Basically, all you're doing is you're taking 4 mods and you're combining them together to make a new mod. So let's go in here I have 141 diamond skins. I don't use them. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have them. Let's say I'm going to take the 4 of these. Because I don't use these. What do I want them for? I can take these, and since they are silver in rarity, it's going to cost me 24,000. Gold rarity costs more. Bronze rarity costs less. And I can take these 4, combine them together with my money, and effectively have a chance at getting another mod of that rarity or worse. So I pop in here, it asks me, confirmation, it's going to be this much money, it's going to be this many of these mods. Am I sure? Yes. It then turned into an acrobat. Nothing really useful for me, I already have a bunch of them. But it gives you an alternative way of trying to get different mods. So if there's a specific rare mod that you really kind of wanted, but you're not having any luck with, hours and hours of farming, you can come in here and take the 5 continuities that you have and use 4 of them, transmute it for money that you're just rolling in, and then try to get a different mod that way. It's all RNG either way, so it's really just how you want to go about your RNG. All the mods, different effects, you hover over them, it'll tell you what it does. As you rank it up, it goes up. You'll notice I like to keep a couple copies of things, that way I can slot them into different Warframes as I go, depending on the amount of points I have left. That's the introduction to mods. It's pretty much really the best I can do. I mean, if you have any questions on it, you can ask about it outside of where do I find X mod or where do I find Y mod. If you really want to know where to find a mod, you can either go to the wiki, or if you really want to try to find out in-game, it requires buying an item called a codex scanner or having it actually physically drop from a bad guy. If it drops from a bad guy and you've already picked one up, you can go to it in your codex, as you just saw me walk to and open, and then you'll notice it as drop sources underneath it. So if I'm holding up on Streamline here, you see drop sources undiscovered, which means I haven't figured out what drops it in that particular spot. Which means either I haven't gotten the dude I killed to drop it, or maybe it just hasn't popped up from whatever that source is. And then you can see stuff like Lancer and Arid Hellion and Arid Lancer, because I've killed those guys and they've dropped that mod, and I've picked it up, and now Warframe recognizes, hey, he got it from this guy, let him know in the future. Alternatively, there's an item you can buy called a codex scanner, which allows you to scan bad guys, which you can then find in your enemy section of the codex. You notice this little symbol up here? That means it's been completely done. Different types of bad guys will take different numbers of scans to fully complete. You can then afterwards go into it, see a nice little character model there, and if you scroll over here, it will tell you all of the mods that can possibly drop from that type of enemy. But you'll also notice that it takes, in the case of the Frontier Lancer, 20 scans with this item in order to actually pop up all this information. So if you want to be able to look in-game to find things, you're going to need to buy a lot of codex scanners. If you're okay with going outside of the game to find things, you can go to the Warframe wiki where they keep all this stuff updated and it's easy to find. That's going to do it for my conversation about mods. If there's any questions outside of where do I find this or whatever, then feel free to ask. I'll try to respond with an answer and hopefully it'll help you. Worst case scenario, I can always come back, try another video to help out. That's it for this time.